The evenings are given over to money-making, feasting, and drunkenness. Appearing on the promenade when the moment's right, when it's aflood with the crowd, I put my pipe to my lips. The hat begins to fill up. Clink go the coins. Clink, clunk, clink. And Gary, if not already around, materializes as though in answer to the call of the pipe whose strains fly far and wide along the winds. Gary, with his Peter Pan being, is before me, an eye in the hat. Enough yet, Papa? Meaning, is there enough for us to repair to the taverna? Or perhaps enough for a little bottle of ouzo to be going on with? Take what you need, Gary, but don't be unintelligible by the time we get to the taverna. In a while he is before me again, swaying a bit and hiccuping, proffering a bottle, drained but for the last quarter which he has saved for me. I drink it in one tilt and resume my playing, all afire. Gary bends down and, taking from the hat what's needed for a jug of wine, melts into the shadows towards the taverna, where I'll join him as soon as fortune allows. Once the good people of Halkida have filled the hat, I release the last note like a bird into the night and take the winding back streets to Andrea's. I step over the threshold into the cool, dim interior, greeting Andrea and his good wife Eleni. Yasus Kalispera, and my eyes accustoming themselves to the darkness, make out that great tangled head of my little friend of the melancholic disposition bobbing over his vial. We set to feasting and drinking. Bowls of bean soup are brought, bread, olives, salad, cheese. Didn't we have the menu already? And jugs and jugs of wine. The hushed and somber inn rings with our merriment and laughter. There's money enough. Bring more food. Bring more wine. Bring us life. Life everlasting. Some nights the walls resound with the ecstatic twang of a bouzouki. An old fellow, as old as Greece itself perhaps, plays his fingers magically over the strings and sings, his voice rising up into the rafters above our heads. On one such night, a sailor named Nico, whose ship's been lying out in the harbour for some weeks now, gets up from his table in the shadows of an alcove and, pushing some tables and chairs aside, takes to the floor with a dance that so long as I live I shall not forget. We watch him start into movement beneath a dim bulb which hangs down over him and lights him like a star. This man, weather-beaten, lined, scarred, cap pulled down over his eyes, which are looking beyond us, beyond this time, into distant dances. Into distances. Dances. Easy to get a little confused with those very close words when one's had a little, but there we are. He's looking beyond us, beyond this time in which we're here, watching him. Well, we don't know what time it is, but this time, this moment, whatever it is, he is staring into distances which we know nothing about, and he dances. It's the dance of a drunken man, an entranced man, but it's steady, deliberate, and studied. The story of a man in movement, the whole incomprehensible mystery of his existence. We too are entranced. We stop still within ourselves and follow him. Here is a young man setting out on a journey. Here's a ship, the sea. We feel loneliness, distances, homesickness. And now we walk in faraway ports, taste wine, women. We are intoxicated, draw knives, thrust. There's blood, and a terrible madness comes upon us. As he's about to fall to the ground, and we with him, he gathers himself up and salutes the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars, which have steered him. The bouzouki dies away on the air. Nico returns to his table. We remain silent, dumbfounded, and raising our glasses that glint like gold, we salute the man who, though slumped now like a dead man across the table, has lived. So the days and nights go on until one morning, buying provisions for lunch from a supermarket in town, I'm about to walk out of the shop and go looking for Gary when a thick-set man steps across my path and flashes a card in my face. Police. My heart misses a beat. Come with me, he growls. No. I bolt back into the shop, hoping to make a dash from the rare entrance, but he's right on my heels, and after a game of hide-and-seek around the laden shelves, he grabs me and marches me off to the police station. I'm taken into a bare room, pushed down into a chair. A fat man sits at a desk before me, a menacing leer on his face. "You've been begging," barks the fat man. "No, I've not been begging. I've been begging," he says. "I've been playing music," I protest. "That is begging." "Music? Begging?" "You heard. Now get out of Halkiva. If you're seen here in the morning, you'll go to jail." "But—" "Get out, you motherfucker." I knew it, Papa. I knew it. They'll get me next. We're sitting on the rocks on the headland below the lighthouse, sharing a little bottle of ouzo. "Ah, Papa, I'm scared. I know they'll get me soon. It's Eleni's father, you can be sure, absolutely certain that's got the cops looking for us." "Ah, merde, merde." "Shit," he says. Gary's head's in his hands and he's pulling so hard at his hair, I fear he's going to come out. "Merde, Papa. He wants to force Eleni and I apart. You see, I told you what he was like. I cannot leave Eleni. Eleni." The waves lap at our feet, comfortingly. The sea loves us. But what can even the sea do against a judge who has all the law of the land behind him? Sure enough, Gary's caught a couple of days later and given his marching orders. We decide to hide out for a while on the beach near the headland, a mile or so west of town. We have a little holiday there, hopefully undetected, before going our separate ways. We call this beach our prison, not a bad jail, eh? We laugh as we raise another sparkling glass of beer towards the sunset. The beach bar, which we are blessed with, stays open late, and it's here we spend our evenings, drinking with the fishermen. With the pocket money girls from town bring us, along with food packages they make up from the larders of their parents. His girl and mine. Maria. Sometimes we pay a visit to Andrea's taverna, reaching it by way of the winding back streets after dark. Once at Andrea's, we're safe, we're home. He shakes his kind-hearted head at the misfortune which has befallen us, saying, It's not right. It's not right. The approach of Christmas has the whole of Athens in a whirl. To set foot in the street is to step into a torrent. You're swept away in a human current instead of picking the shops clear of their waves. You're swept away in a human current intent on picking the shops clear of their wares. That's what it meant to say. Emerging from the underground station in Ammonia Square and riding the human wave down Athena Street, I let myself be washed into this eddy, this palace of ouzo, at the corner of which I am now leaning. It would appear that I was just having a warm-up to give me some fire before going out into the crowds to drum up a dime with my pipe. And to all intents and purposes, that's what I am doing. What neither you nor I suspect is that I'm unwittingly waiting for Gary to step over the threshold. In fact, right now, he's riding the wave down Athena Street. I call this place a palace because of its size. Its high ceiling and vast walls along which shelves stretch to the horizon, glittering with bottles and into which huge vats are sunk from which the ouzo I hold to my lips is siphoned. It's rare that I leave this place other than swaying, for this stuff's strong, and the cheery chats behind the counter delight in topping up my glass. On the house, they say, whenever my back's turned. Needless to say, I turn my back to them quite often to give them a chance to perform this discreet service. I have only to take care that I don't get hiccups if I'm going to play the pipe on the street when I get out there, and not to get as relaxed as the purple-faced gentleman flat on his back on the flagstone floor near the entrance. He was at the counter until a minute or two ago. He must have tried to make a break for the street and lost his legs at the threshold. It's just as well he's toppled this side of it, for he'd have been trampled underfoot out there, and perhaps even slung up as a carcass on a hook in the meat market, the corner of which were right slap bang on. The cries of the vendors and the slamming of cleaners on wooden blocks are chopping up the very air around our ears. It's not too far-fetched to entertain the idea of staggering blindly out of here and ending up in a pot. Because we're right on the corner of the meat market here. It's really a possibility. I remember coming down here with Bubina, a dog, Maria's dog, and he nearly ended up in a pot, but he was too wily to end up there, and I managed to extract him from the depths of the meat market anyway, just in time. Anyway, that's just a thought. Now, I'm leaning at the counter, and I'm probably a little bit getting three sheets of the wind and all that. Got to get out of here sometime to play my pipe, but they keep filling up my glass behind me. Can't stop them. You see, the thing is, you come in here. There's it's a great hall-like place, and there's an old fellow, a miserable specimen, takes the money